Well, you've had a moment to appreciate the cream of the world's documentary making. Now let's go down. Let's take a look at a bit of schlock horror. Red Christmas is a new Australian film which features American horror legend Dee Wallace. She plays a widow defending her family from a stranger. The mixers go to gadabout Eddie Sharp, caught up with the director of the film, Craig Anderson, in his Marrickville warehouse, with some of the cast and assorted hangers-on.
Visiting Craig Anderson's backstreet warehouse kind of feels like you're in a schlock horror film. It's a little bit scary. I'm thinking brain damage or driller killer. I found Craig in his edit suite putting the finishing touches on his film Red Christmas.
Is this bad to do this?
He seems like a normal guy, but he does have a giant stuffed rabbit in his lounge room covered with blood, of course. And then there's the human placenta. It's right next to the pasta. More on that later.
I used to collect VHS, but you really held on.
He also has a crazy amount of well-worn 80s VHS videos, but it makes sense. If you're gonna make a schlock horror film about an aborted fetus that comes back to haunt its family, you've gotta have some research material. I really wanted to know more, so I sat down with Craig and his assistant director, Alexei Toliopoulos, as well as comedian and part-time actor Sam Cambell, to talk about Red Christmas and schlock.
Out of the
Craig, much in the tradition of Gremlins or Tim Allen's The Santa Claus, you've made a comedy Christmas-themed horror movie. What is it about that genre that you think is so appealing?
I think Christmas is a very emotional time for people, and there's a lot of iconography around it that make you remember things like childhood. And I think sometimes you can get more scared when you're a kid, so maybe there's something about putting horror in amongst Christmas that's a little bit scarier.
Were there any Christmas horror films that were like big for you, that were big inspirations for this one?
I remember Gremlins a lot from my youth. That was a big one.
The Grinch?
I haven't seen The Grinch.
Black Christmas?
Oh yeah, I love
You showed me
Black
that
Christmas.
one, Black Christmas.
Yeah.
What's Black Christmas?
It's a 1974 film that kind of started before slasher films had become a thing.
Yeah.
It's Canadian, and it's fantastic.
How did you get Dee Wallace?
I sent the script around to a whole bunch of women who had appeared in horror films of the 70s and 80s.
This phone is dead.
What?
And horror fans love, like, history. They love knowing people that are in films that have been in films before.
Yeah.
Dee has been in E.T. and Cujo and The Howling.
Did she have much time to work with you guys?
No, I had like 2 Skype conversations with Dee before she flew to Australia. She had a little caravan that I would go to before every scene.
Yeah.
And one of the first times we went in, I sat with her for about half an hour, just going through the script.
Be careful, he got in before without us seeing him.
I think the best way to kind of describe how low budget the film was, Brian Moses is the producer of this, it's his parents' retirement adventure trailer. So we borrowed that for Dee Wallace to sleep in. And then we were all just kind of hanging around outside it all the time.
One time she got trapped in the bathroom, like the handle came off in the toilet, and so she's like, help, help, I'm trapped. And Craig's dad, who's in the movie as well, was helping out. Plus he goes, geez, she's a good actor. Practicing her lines in there. Ah, good on you.
Were there a lot of practical effects such as that one?
During the film, there's a birth. I got a midwife involved. And she said, when I was meeting her in pre-production, that I should try and get a real placenta. So she said, all you got to do is go to the hospital and speak to the pregnant, expectant women and say, will you sign your placenta over to me for an art project?
How long were you lurking around the delivery center of the hospital
Well, I got
looking
lucky
for
because
placenta?
I was going to go in, and the day before I was going to go in, I met a woman at the ABC. She came into my room by mistake. I was editing and she walked in pregnant. And
And he said, you're not leaving till you promise me your placenta.
If there was to be like a sort of a horror death that interrupted this scene that we're in right now, what would be a great way for me to die?
That video projector above you weighs a ton.
Ah!
It's one of the Valhalla's original digital projectors. So if that fell on you, it would definitely crush your head like a melon.
That's a beautiful image. Thank you so much.
Sure.